Okay, so before I start, I'd like to point out that what's being presented is refuting the status quo of the English language, the model that the English language presents, and our use and interpretation of mathematics. So, the fact that it's refuting these deeply ingrained concepts that are at the very core of our psyche and the way we communicate and our language, it's very much like humanity, all of humanity, is under the spell of a cult leader. And everyone just accepts what the cult leader, which is perhaps science and academia, accepts what the cult leader says, and everyone around you is also accepting exactly what the cult leader says. So everyone just goes along with it, and it seems to work. So therefore, we just accept it to be true, and then we continue on from that initial assumption. But what this theory is saying is that that initial assumption is incorrect. From the very get-go, materialism is baked into the English language. We have no other alternative. And what I'm saying is that's actually incorrect. It's always been incorrect. And now it's time to develop a new system with new language. But it's not really new, it's just an adaptation. Okay, so as you read this, as I present this, I should say as you watch this, be aware of the resistance within you. So there's understanding something, right? Getting it, something that makes sense, but then there's the rejection of that, right? So you could be going along saying that this theory that I'm presenting makes sense. It intuitively and intellectually, you're understanding it. It's making sense to you. But there may be, along with that, a strong resistance to not accept it. There will be something forcing you to just, even though you're getting it and it's making more sense than the current model, there's something within you that's telling you to just reject it. Okay. So now I'm going to read it because it's very succinct and precise. And if I wing it, it won't get where it needs to go. So I'm just going to read this off the start. Every theory begins with an assumption. The theory of materialism assumes that the physical realm is fundamental reality. The theory of enlightenment begins with two assumptions. Assumption 1. Fundamental reality is not the thing, but the nothing. Assumption 1.1. Therefore, all models/theories that assume the physical realm to be fundamental reality are inherently incomplete and incorrect. This is really, really, really important. What is being investigated is nothing less than the lens through which the entire English-based society views all of reality. Anything, something, everything, nothing. These four words constitute the base of the model of reality constructed by the English language. They are an attempt to encapsulate and define all phenomena/reality in a single word/concept. That word/concept is thing. The primary definition of thing is an object that one need not, cannot, or does not wish to give a specific name to. The secondary definition for thing is an inanimate object as distinct from a living sentient being. Any, some, every are vague and unspecific words that add an extra layer of complexity and ambiguity to the already complex and ambiguous definition of thing. Anything and something are redundant, right? Anything and something to me are the exact same thing, relating to the same thing, are redundant, and for the sake of efficiency will be contained within the set everything. The unnecessary complexity, vagueness, and redundancy of the model. An object is a thing is an object, and an object is a thing. The unnecessary complexity, vagueness, and redundancy of the model are expressions of its incompleteness/incorrectness. An accurate and true model is succinct, simple, and non-redundant. And that's just a cursory investigation of the thing. It only gets worse. Nothing is defined, not anything, no thing. Then not is defined as used with an auxiliary verb or be to form the negative. Negative, therefore, then, is defined consisting in or characterized by the absence rather than the presence of distinguishing features. Not is the negative, and the negative is absence. So negative is consisting in or characterized by the absence, and absence is 1, the state of being away from a place or person, and 2, the non-existence or lack of. Negative is, in definition 1, something that exists but is not present. And also this means present infers consciousness. There must be a consciousness there to confirm the presence of something else or the absence. It's in relation to a consciousness, isn't it? And then in definition 2, negative is the non-existence of. So which is it? Not existing. This is actually really important. The subtleties of this are very important. In definition 2, negative is the non-existence of. Non-existing is a completely different state than is not being present. This is imperative that we understand that when we get to nothing, it just keeps bouncing down the words. It's this, and then this means this, and then this means this. It's just like a legal document self-referring to itself, isn't it? It's very convoluted and very self-referential. And at the bottom of it, it's absence, right? Nothing is absence. And absence is this one, the first one, is the state of being away. So it exists, but it's not here. And the second one is the non-existence of it. So it's not just here, it's not anywhere. Okay? This dualistic and conflicting definition of negative is an expression of its incorrectness. Negative as non-existence of the thing it is compared to is paradoxical. Prior to the thing's existence, not even the potential for the negative of that thing to exist exists. But the definition automatically begins with the initial condition / assumption of the existence of the thing, which is a state that does not allow for the existence of the not thing / nothing. But the state prior to the existence of the thing, the state that shall not be spoken of, is clearly the state of no thing. The negative in its current conceptualization is both the zero and the negative. The opposite of a phenomenon is not the absence of that phenomenon. The opposite is the other. Not other than, but other of. A curved line is defined via two aspects, concave and convex. The current vague and dualistic understanding of the negative has the negative as the same phenomenon as the nothing, and this is other than. I know this is really condensed, but it's really important to get to the nuances of this, because this is what the model of reality and all society is based upon, this language. The other than then cancels out the thing to arrive at non-existence. But clearly the concave is on equal level and has equal importance with the convex. They are other ofs, not other thans. It is vitally important to recognize that the convoluted and vague nature of the discourse thus far is not something, but obviously not a physical object thing, that Roy Dobson created or dreamt up. It is an in-depth inquiry into the fundamental model of reality presented by the English language. The vagueness and convoluted nature of the model is an expression of its incompleteness and incorrectness. An accurate model would not contain paradoxes, it would not be so vague, and it would not be so self-referential and redundant. The incorrectness of the accepted fundamental model is manifesting in the collapse of the institutions that are based upon the English language. The legal and governmental systems of thought are other than systems and operate on adversarialism and conflict rather than cooperation and unity. How can a system that fundamentally operates on internal conflict endure? Before I present the model, we will investigate how this bias towards the thing and materialism is expressed in mathematics, and how this bias is deeply ingrained with our interpretation of mathematics itself. The mathematical equation representing the conventional nothing is 1 minus 1 equals 0.